Pamela, Pamela, Daniels, Daniels. Okay, School on the Rocks, if I'm not mistaken, was at the bottom of the hill. Dad would always have his times of sharing things. I think when, in comparison as to where we are now and the things that he had to go through riding the horses and the wagons, and we were in our vehicles and things like that. Mm-hmm. He did share a little bit about the teachers and spending the time and how small the classrooms were and how awesome the teachers were. And I think it was a much more intimate relationship with the teachers. Classes were much smaller and parents were pretty much on board as far as with the teachers and all. One of the things about Dad, he grew up in Boones Creek and had an uncle who lived on Spring Street. And so, Dad would always talk about how he and Grandma walked. They would walk, but then when they got a horse, they would ride the horse, but most of their journey from Boones Creek was walking. It didn't matter whether it was snow or rain or whatever, everywhere they went, and even coming to church, it was just a matter of them walking. And of course, he had 5 brothers and 1 sister. Martha passed away when she was younger. But it was a much more simpler life, and Dad was a hard worker, and if you could imagine, the fireplaces and the food and all the, you had to do as far as cooking and that kind of thing, and killing your own food, and can't even imagine that, having to go out to the barn and get a chicken if you wanted dinner, but that's what he did, and it was normal. Dad's father passed away while he was younger, and then Grandma remarried, and then came the brothers. He was pretty much an adult when he had his first car. Of course, he worked at Eastman, and that was necessary. But I think pretty much of his, if he wanted to move around, it was walking. I don't even remember him riding a bicycle. I don't know if Dad could ride a bicycle. And the attraction to go everywhere wasn't there either. Everybody was pretty much taking care of the land and the farm and the this and the that, but one of the things about Dad is that he was an excellent carpenter. He built his home, and it is, it's solid as a rock. He loved putting his hands to things. My sister is in the process of moving back. She'll be here in a few months just to spy out the land and see what she's going to keep and what's going to go, but she'll move back the first of the year. She and her family are moving back and take up residence in Dad's home. One of the things about Dad and his carpentry, he learned that here from one of the teachers. Yes, he talks about him all the time. I can't recall the teacher, but he was an excellent carpenter, and he really was an asset to Dad's life because, Dad was known for his carpentry, his building. Oh, no. This gentleman, whoever he was really critical for the guys. Of course, the girls did not take, that's not anything that was done, but I'm just trying to think if I can remember his name. But Dad talked about him all the time, and he was instrumental in Dad learning how to use the tools. Because really what Dad, I'm not just saying that because he was my dad, but what Dad did was, you could count on it being top. And even right before he passed away, he was making things for me. I kept him busy. He made these wooden flower boxes for tables, for centerpieces. He made pedestals for little cake, small cake. Several of those, and I haven't pulled them out to finish them yet, but I will. Dad being in a play would be a miracle. Give him a hammer, build, seriously, I know I'm emphasizing that, but it's true. But that's where his focus was. He was, had a shop at the house, and that's where he was. Daddy was not necessarily opinionated, but there were things that he did say that people remember. particularly at church. I mean, he was an elder at the church, and one of the things that Dad would remind us, in church, that it wasn't about us. A lot of times we can get so high-minded and think if it's my name is not attached to it, or if I'm not in it, then it's not maxed out. But Dad reminded us that it was about him, it was about the Lord, it wasn't about us. And even this past Sunday in Elizabethton, someone brought that up, and it just blesses us. It is not about us, Pam, it's not about you, church is not about you. The sweet thing. Dad played football with Jack Pierce, Dad's cousin, and Jack was really instrumental in Kingsport, and he recently passed away as well. But he did play with his cousin at Langston. Can't imagine Dad playing football, but he did. I can't say that I remember him pointing out any particular classmate, but he was more family oriented, and it was always family, his cousins, and one of the things I guess I can say with Dad, I mean, his mom, I think a lot of his focus was family, taking care of Mom and all that she had going in the land and those kind of things. I don't think we could have asked for a better dad. Family was really big. We wanted for nothing. I can remember being in the 3rd grade. I had a friend, Sharon Goss, and we were good friends. And then one day she came to me and she said, I can't be a friend anymore because my grandfather said all that you want is what I have. And I'm thinking, I've got everything. And I could not process that because I had toys, I had my easy bake ovens, I mean, I had all of that. Because we were so well taken care of, big home, and so that was the kind of parents we had. Mom and Dad worked themselves silly taking care of us, and it was a lot of fun. An incredible dad. I mean, really an incredible dad. Learned a lot, and I just appreciate that. I guess one of the things I've learned is try not to cry. It's just no regrets. Do the best you can. And I watched him take care of Mom, when she was dying, really. How beautiful. I mean, we had her in a nursing home for just a little while. They sent her home from the hospital. He would be there he wanted to be there before she woke up, and wouldn't leave until she was asleep. I mean, no regrets. And that's one of the things I've learned from Dad. Be a blessing wherever you are. And he always was, And the things that, as I said, Dad had said and, vocalized, people are still saying. He's just known for his little quotes and things. They weren't trivial. I mean, they were life-changing. An awesome dad. The house down here is where my mom grew up, the one right down the hill. And Dad lived up the street a little ways, and a match made in heaven. I mean, they went to church together, and when they got married, they lived here for a short time. But Grandma had land up here, and so that's when Dad set out, and he built the house from the bottom up. And they moved and up the street a little bit, and here we are. And but they met at school. Met in church. They married young, and we complimented each other. We're sweet, 2 good parents. We were blessed. Everything was really simple, and it was really true, and it was rooted in love. And you didn't get away with a lot, no, your life was pretty simple, but it was sweet and it was good. And, we were in church, and that played a big part of it too. Bethel Christian, and that's where I am. I'm back there now. I was raised there, and he was an elder there forever, and played a big part in the leadership of the church. I remember even in Sundays when we had vacation Bible school, we were like the Pied Pipers. My mom she'd just gather and walk through the neighborhood, and all the kids, and there was like 15 or 20 of us, headed to church. But it was fun. It was fun. And I can remember a little bit of that, standing at my grandma's, waiting to be picked up, and the bus driver just passed us up. He wasn't going to pick us up. So they had to go to the school and complain. And so finally, Mr. Moore was his name. And we had to sit in the front of the bus. We couldn't, that was our seat. Silly things, but it was real. But our parents were on top of it and didn't have a clue. One of the things I can say about our home, everybody was in our home. I did not know, I'm not saying it because it sounds great. I did not know prejudice. Everybody was at the kitchen table. The coffee pot was always going. And the bartering was wonderful. You fix my transmission or my tire and I'll do your cabinets, That was the way that our home was. It was crazy. I don't get it. And I still don't, and I'm so grateful for that. It was a wonderful place. Everybody, race was not an issue. I didn't know it, and that's why it was so difficult for me, even being in school, and the little remarks that were made no sense to me, because I wasn't, I didn't see it. I didn't experience it. So what was that about? So it took me a little while to learn what prejudice meant, because I didn't see it at home. And I don't think it was it was something that he determined to do. That's just who he was. It's just who he was. Still the friends today. I didn't get it, and still don't get it. Didn't experience it. Everybody was at the table. That table was just, hours, and they'd sit there and talk and go off and fix something and come back and go off and fix something else. But the bartering was really sweet. They called him Brown. Brown, what you doing? I think Jonesborough at large did not have the attitude of prejudice like a lot of, and I've heard Dad say that Johnson City was completely different. You would go to Johnson City and, you would have your could and could not do, where in Jonesborough it was more community. And the color issues didn't make a difference. And I don't know what that was, but I just called it a blessing. I'm grateful for Jonesborough and being raised here. And, even my family is biracial. One of my prayers have been, Lord, send us somebody that is not like us. I'm so grateful. You see my grandchildren out in the backyard. You see all the different skin tones and hair textures, and I love it, and Dad loved that as well. Just crazy. Don't get it. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful. So I don't know who my grandchildren will marry, but I just prayed somebody, that God made that is precious. I just love it when we're all together. You see heaven. I just appreciate Jonesborough for taking the time to, it could have fallen apart, or just left vacant. And but the fact that Jonesborough saw that there was an opportunity to be a blessing to the community, see it as a community effort, and just very grateful. And the way that they've acknowledged, the teachers on the wall, named it Booker T. Washington School. There's a lot of history here, and it's not been tainted or overlooked or kind of positioned in a way that's not fruitful. It's really been a blessing. I love what's happened. I think it's precious. Right now, I'm in Bible college. I'm out for the summer, and so I'll pick back up in August, and I will finish in October. I pulled out last year when Dad passed, so I have to do that semester again. I'm loving it. I never saw myself going back to school and taking tests and having to study and read and all, but I feel like that was something I was supposed to do, and I'm loving it. And the artsy side of me has kind of gone dormant because it has to, but I can't wait to get back into that side of me and creating and producing, that kind of thing. My time here at the McKinney was wonderful. Just too much fun. It's just too much fun. No one should have that much fun. And just being a part of the people and being a part of the community. Pottery, pretty much so. One of the things about Mom, she was in ceramics. She did ceramics when we were younger, and did flower arrangements and that kind of thing. So I just kind of felt like a daddy. I just couldn't help myself. Even now, his shop is, no one's in there. I want to get in there and do something. The arts were always in the home, and so I just kind of felt it normal, but I never thought I would have the opportunity to be here at the McKinney teaching pottery. What a blessing. It is the River Tri-Cities Church. It's called Smoky Mountain Bible College. Well, I'm doing it now. I'm an associate at Bethel, Pastor Lynn Baltman, and that's just kind of been in that for a long time. But this is just kind of putting myself in a place where I kind of learn more deeper biblical biblical principles, and it's been good for me. My immediate family, they're just, I'm in awe of how blessed the Lord has just touched the family. I just look at what they're doing and I'm blown away. My son is, works at Honda, and he's a manager at the service department. And one part of my family, my daughter, they're flying off to Montana to camp for a week. What? One is getting her real estate license. I mean, they're such a blessing. They're such a blessing. I mean, I just look at them and think, they've just been incredible children, and they love us, and even the grandchildren. I mean, they're huggers and kissers. These boys, we have 5 boys and 1 girl, and 2 grands, but they're touchy, lovey, kissy, huggy, and I just milk it for all it's worth. I guess one of the things that I see is they are go-getters. I mean, they accomplish much. Even my daughter and who she works for. I'm thinking, Lord, how does this? Thank you. That she gets to be a part of someone who's a part of the Tour de France and all this stuff. I mean, I'm blown away with their opportunities, and with that, they're humble. They know where their blessings come from. I love the humility that they walk in, because it's real. And I think that's why He continues to bless them, because, it's not about them. But, no, we've all been local. I'm very satisfied with the simple Jonesborough life. I think, again, Jonesborough's blessed. You can tell that things are growing, but still there's simplicity that's with it, and I love that. And the community is very engaging and warm, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it stays that way. I'll do my part. Elma Floretta Lyons. Mom's life was a little her life was a little bit harder and a little quieter, Well, she's an awesome mama. Made the best rolls ever. Yeah. She's really artsy. And I think that's where, even Joan, you'll find out, she is a quilter. Blows me away. That the one that she's working on now just blows me away. And even my little sister, she's with the Lord now, but we all had our little artsy things that we did. And you need that, you need to be able to, because it's in there, you just have to find out, what it is and go for it. Other than that, he was an incredible provider. I even as being younger, I didn't know what it was like to want. We just, not spoiled at all, but worked very hard to, Christmas were mega. Birthdays were mega. Wanted for nothing. But at the same time, it wasn't that we were spoiled. I mean, you don't even think about going there. There was another side to that one, too. But we just appreciated everything that we had. A wonderful provider. And he loved us. One of the things, you could, even as an adult, Dad, would you fix this? Would you build this for me? You had to be careful because he was so sweet to say yes, and he said yes a lot, but I think he loved the busyness of his yeses to what he's doing for people. But I don't have a complaint. I don't. Incredible daddy, incredible mommy. He didn't like flies in the house. No, my sister and I have a story. I mean, when we were running in and out of the house, and Dad went to the front door, and he always flung the door open. And he said, "Let them all come in," And so that's a joke, in the summertime, my sister and I will quote that. If there's a fly, we know what's going to come. Let them all come in. So, wonderful parents, and I pray that when all is said and done, my children say the same about me. Yeah. I want to be that person to them where they look and kind of shake their head and say they're pretty cool.